And we are in. Hello, guys. Welcome. Welcome to episode 4 of Rick and Morty for season 5. Big thank you to Paris for joining me again. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Yes, so we're on episode 4 already. So what we will do is the same as we always do. We will run through the episode and give our thoughts on it, and I'll pull up a few stills as we go, and we can talk about a few of the plot points, if that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So right off the bat, what did you think of this episode?
That it was really gross. That I wouldn't want to watch it with my mom.
Yes. I mean, it was funny for what it was, especially kind of like this part. So it's basically, it's Morty being a 14-year-old boy and wanting to
Yes.
get it on with pretty much everything. He's waiting for Beth to finish her job, and he comes across this piece of machinery, and he asks her, kind of nonchalantly, what does this do? And she tells him it's a horse mounting device, basically, and that gives him all sorts of ideas.
Yes, that's right. And of course, that's what we do with the reproductive fluids of horses is we store them in one big barrel. We don't keep it separately like for thoroughbreds. Because obviously they must be running some kind of research lab out of the horse hospital.
Yes, it kind of begs the question why they needed such a big barrel, but I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to pull that thread.
And why it's okay for Rick just to take it home. That's
Yes, he does. He just kind of rolls it into the garage and hooks it up to his machine to do whatever he wants with it.
Morty's sitting on his roof, drinking his orange juice, looking really proud of himself, like he's been pulling off the greatest scheme for the last week. And Rick rolling that barrel up the driveway might have been the funniest visual of the entire episode.
Yes, let me just see if I can pull that up. Yeah, there you go. He just kicks it along the air.
They have weird feet. Did you ever notice? And everybody has high waters. We call those high waters here, right? Those pants that are like exposed the top of your sock. That's So Rick decides he's going to, for some reason, use this to develop a bioweapon to fight the Chuds. Now, the Chud is a name you might have heard before. Do you remember Chud from before, like in the 80s?
Do, yes. See, Chud. When I heard it, I was thinking of the horror film from the 80s.
That's right. The cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers is Chud. And then made a little bit somewhat famous again with Kevin Smith. It was a term they used in a few episodes. A few movies like Mallrats, and I think maybe was revisited again in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So I thought that was funny because they're developing a weapon to fight one of Rick's big enemies that we've never seen before. So
it's another big enemy that Rick has that we've never seen before that seemed to mean a huge deal to him, which I think is kind of funny because it seems to be kind of a running joke throughout this season, which I really like.
That's right. So then he decides he's going to put an inhuman amount of power through this horse semen that he is 100% horse semen. Though he wanted to test it, he lets Morty convince him not to test it. And Morty, who obviously hasn't been around for the last 5 seasons, doesn't realize that this is going to end up badly.
And it does, yeah. So the next thing that happens is we get a huge explosion. And we were talking in the green room about another film that this scene reminded us from as well, weren't we?
Yes, it was a playback to The Mist, if you remember right. The tentacles of the mist, and Morty wakes up. I tell you, too, when I was looking at the pictures waiting for you, it also reminded me a bit of, and I don't know if you had this miniseries over there in England in the late 80s, but do you remember The Long Laniers? It was based on a Stephen King book. It very much has that mouth kind of with the teeth.
Yes, very, very cheap TV movie. I remember it, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So it was famous because it had Balky in it. That's right. He was the bad guy in it and everything. So yes, there's these killer sperm, which Rick is going to sell as space sperm.
Yes, and obviously the punchline from this bit is it's Morty's own little contribution has mixed in with the horses, which is why we have this evolved, or huge space sperm, as Rick calls them, attacking everybody.
Right. What I figure is that it is the horse sperm didn't do anything. It's only Morty's sperm. Right?
I think so too.
So they're driving away, trying to get away from it. Rick's going to save the family, right? They roll over Gene. I don't know. Do you remember Gene?
I do remember Gene. Yeah.
Where Morty yells at Gene to tell him to mind his own business. So I take it Gene is dead, and they one of the sperm crashed their car into another house in the neighborhood, and who saves them?
Yes, it's the president.
The president. Now, the last time I remember seeing the president, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was when they decided to diss him the season finale a couple seasons ago, right? Because he wouldn't take a picture with Morty. So obviously, whenever there's a crisis, all is forgiven. And Rick and Morty are taken back into the fold and asked to save the world once again.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's another running gag throughout this scene, harkening back to the first scene, where Morty really, really should have told the truth at this point, but because he's kind of ashamed, and rightly so, of what he's done, he lets Rick shoulder the blame, which I thought was pretty funny and kind of devious of him.
He absolutely did, and he kept playing along and drawing this out as long as he could, and I think that's part of the running joke in it too, and everything. We meet the professor, who I think is from some sperm institute. Is that correct?
Pretty much. I think they called him the world leading expert on sperm or something, and. There probably is that it exists. There probably is somebody out there with that title. So.
I'm sure there is. That's exactly
good for them.
I guess it takes somebody. And another great one too is that the president seems to, I'm assuming because of his distrust of Rick, really, really, really trust Morty. So there's nothing Morty could do wrong, even when he shoots the sperm and says that the sperm was armed.
Yes, let me see if I can find that scene. There it is, yeah. Let's see if I can find that scene. Where is it?
And another little callback too, you had that up there. Jerry's big contribution to the show is once again being a waterman. And you might remember that from his fantasy about being the guy who delivers water.
Yes, and that's pretty much Jerry's only contribution to this episode, isn't it? Again,
yes.
He's found something that he's good at, and by God, he's going to do it.
That was so. Some of this was funny, but like you said, just sillily drawn out, right? Unnecessarily long, right?
Yeah, it was a very long joke that kind of the payoff wasn't worth it. That's the way I will put it. There were some funny scenes. I didn't really think much of Summer's contribution and Beth. They have a really weird scene towards the end of the episode, which we'll get to in a minute. But it was kind of Summer kept coming up with the ideas, and she was getting sidelined, and the men were taking all the credit for the ideas, and that was another kind of running gag that was throughout the episode. And Beth just says to her, get used to this.
That's right. Welcome to womanhood. That's exactly right. So then they're sent out with the Marines, all male Marines.
All male Marines,
which
yes.
Is great to play on the catapult Trebuchet. They of course crash, right? And there's the lone survivors. You have your Snake Eyes kind of guy, and then your ultramarine, and of course they're dispatched rather quickly.
Yes, they're even taking bets when they're in the plane who's going to die first, and said right. It's not going to be the ninja guy.
That's right. But, another Marvel callback to Rick's saves he and Morty by using his Doc Ock extendo arms from his lab coat and saves them. And then of course they find Sticky when they land on the ground, and Morty saves him, and Sticky recognizes him as his origin.
And Sticky, I know he's supposed to be an endearing kind of character, but it's still just a giant sperm, and it's just really gross.
Gross with two tails. That's exactly right.
Yes. So as it keeps progressing, there's still more gags. They're trying to take out the sperm. They're getting smarter. They've learned to use tools. I did actually the joke that you brought up about the difference between a catapult and a trebuchet. I thought was actually a pretty good joke. So,
Yes, we get these little tidbits, but they're again not enough to really save the episode. So
yes. And I actually really liked some of these characters. I thought he was pretty good, but again, it's a kind of a lame joke.
yes.
He just gets dispatched really quickly. So they're building him up to be this huge hero. You think he's going to kick ass, and he's an idiot.
He's an idiot. He stabs himself and is married either to Kathy Ireland or at this point a poster of Kathy Ireland from the 25th anniversary swimsuit edition.
Which was really random. It's like, what the heck is going on in this episode? So obviously Rick and Morty get captured, they get taken back, and again there's another running gag. We have the female, in quotes, leader. We have this queen sperm, I suppose you could call her, who actually I quite liked as a character. I thought she was pretty funny. I really like the actress who played her.
She'll make a great Funko.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Yes.
I'm sure. And yes, I thought it was a great play. I guess there again, we're supposed to be getting that feeling of the alien queen, right, from Alien. And she pulls it off quite well. I thought it was pretty funny. It wasn't too long and drawn out, but it was great. And of course, at this point, Morty admits that it's him because the queen basically exposed him, and Rick calls him a nasty little pervert. And
he's not wrong.
Yes. and they want to use him to rebuild their army, to strengthen their army, which means that they're going to retrieve more bioproduct from him.
Yes, that's a polite way of putting it. So the machine from earlier makes an appearance again, and Morty isn't too upset about it. Let's put it that way.
No, at first he's embarrassed, and then I love the callback. Maybe we should send this one to Coach and Nick to watch. The Carbonite Rick, and what Rick does to help is he knocks himself down in his little carbonite chamber, so he's out of Morty's line of vision. That's it to watch.
Absolutely. So they've managed to break free. Sticky comes to the rescue.
That's right.
Yeah. And then it's off again, adventures. So they're still trying to take out, but there are more and more of these things coming. And then we go back to the president, and they're still trying to figure out what's the best way to take this out. And they come up with the stupidest idea possible. Right. And I hate
that they stole from Summer. If I was Summer, I would not have claimed that was my idea. Let them blame the idiot scientists. They take, for some reason, Summer's egg, obviously rather easily, like without any type of procedure where they had to, give her any kind of pain medication or sedate her. And yes, they enlarged the egg and put it on top of the pyramid in Vegas on the Strip.
Yeah, this I did find very funny. The whole idea that they've sent them all to Vegas, obviously the city of sin. That did make me laugh, I've got to admit. It's stupid, but it was still funny.
That wasn't lost on you. And probably the least sad loss of a character introduced this season was when the professor decides that the best way to get out of this and get out of trouble is to commit suicide by jumping off the top of one of, I assume it's the casino's hotels that you could see.
I'm pretty sure, because is that the Luxor, the pyramid?
Yes,
I thought so.
That the space egg that they're going to launch into space is on, and like he said, no, that's only in the movies. You only see the last 10 seconds. It takes a half an hour to launch into space.
So while they're trying to get the remaining sperm army to make their way to Vegas to take them all out by using this giant egg as bait, we're on slightly a bit of a detour with Rick and Morty, and we find out that the Chuds do actually exist.
Yes, they were not there, that the president actually knows about them. and it looks as though Rick and Morty are going to meet a Game of Thrones type of death, and they are basically convicted, but conveniently saved. This time, not by Sticky, who's also in trouble with him, but by
Yes, by the daughter of the king, Princess. Is it Ponetta?
Ponetta. Yes,
Ponetta, that's it. Who absolutely blew my mind to find out that she was voiced by Christina Ricci of all
yes,
people.
yes. Just not a regular Christina Ricci voice. She actually put a little bit into this, and she basically claims some kind of ancient right and says that Rick must be spared because Rick has sired her child. So he is
Yes,
pregnant with Rick's young horseman.
which doesn't bear thinking about. But yeah, they were about to eat them because obviously they're cannibals.
Yes, they're going to cook him, not the bones, because the bones upset your stomach. But yes, they're obviously going to eat their flesh, including, I guess, Sticky too, because Sticky's being lowered into the vat of dissolving fluid.
It's just so random, this episode. It's
It
just, what the hell?
it's all over the place, you know. But the Chuds actually do release him. The king actually seems to be happy. He has an heir.
Yes,
And they
which
actually,
surprised me.
I assume that by traveling underground, correct, that they're able to get to Vegas in time to help set up an ambush against the sperm. And that leads us to probably the picture you're showing right now, which was the absolute stupidest, grossest part of this episode, which is Beth and Summer jumping from sperm to sperm as they lead the sperm through casinos so they can smash into tables, go over fire water fountains, and various other things and destroy all but 2 sperm.
Whilst getting helped out by the cast of Cirque du Soleil, which was completely
Yes.
random as well.
And the Amazing Jonathan, which, by the way, Purple Valkyrie, in case you don't know, is an actual real B level, maybe even C level magician here in the States.
I didn't,
don't even
but
know
I had to look it up.
I don't even know if he's practicing anymore. He was the kind of guy you would see on Star Search in the early 90s, maybe late 80s, and just ridiculous. But I thought was there again another small joke and a rather lackluster episode.
Yes, yeah, and this joke went on for way too long when he's doing that.
Yes,
Basically, it's a pick a card joke, but
yes.
again, it was way too long.
It's actually funnier when you tell it. So,
so end of the episode. Obviously, they think they've taken out all of this sperm army. They're getting ready to celebrate, and the last one that is left, if I can find the bits.
yes, as you're looking for it,
As I'm looking for it.
Up the pyramid goes, and it looks like they're going to not be able to stop the queen.
Yes, so there's the
Early
queen climbing up, so she's taking it into her own hands to fertilize this egg, and it's Sticky to the rescue, or so we think.
Yes, Sticky knocks her off. She splatters on the ground grossly, leaving that bluish gray puddle they love showing of whenever one of the sperm was killed. And Sticky has saved the day, except he is a sperm, and his nature is to go and fertilize the egg. So he does that. He fertilizes his egg. Now, keep in mind, this is Morty's mutant sperm going into his sister's egg.
Yes, it's really weird, and there it goes.
Gross.
And Morty's like, God damn it. Well, what did you expect? I mean, really?
It was just weird.
Was just
weird.
I
guess you had to have that payoff. We'll say this. One of the funniest parts of the episode there again was the little end cap where Morty meets Kathy Ireland, explains something important about being honest. He admits that yes, your husband, he was wearing your thong. Where at which point she says, "Gross! I knew it. He's a monster." Off and Morty there, and he's about to. He thinks honesty is important, and Rick cold stops him, which I think is hysterical, and says, "No, Morty, this is mine. I get to do it." We get to see him make out with Princess Ponetta, and
Mm-hmm.
he can't get enough of licking those tile-like teeth. And
Which again is just really weird. I could have done without that.
right.
And then we have a little mini horse Rick that's
Rick's I'm assuming something like 8,000th
and there
child,
it goes.
right? We have Beth, all of his people from when he got the planet pregnant, and the little horse guy who they don't have to raise. He just basically comes out the package ready to go.
He does, yep. And basically that's it for their relationship. They part ways and she's like, see you later, Rick.
Yes, and Rick pulls out the little button. I'm not sure. I'm hoping maybe you can. What's the joke with that? Where he goes, "That was
I
easy." Is that
I
was that
wasn't
just
sure about that. I just thought that was just something random they've added in because there's so much random crap in
I
this
was gonna
episode.
say, why
It's
not?
just
Let's
one
leave the
extra
randomness
thing. Yeah.
the randomness with random. And of course, the wonderful end cap, not showing us what's going to happen next time or a callback from 4 or 5 seasons ago. But no, obviously the giant baby did come to full term, and he gets to see this astronaut. And that's what we are left with, and not a very cute baby at that. Rick and
No, that's an awful baby. But again, what do you expect given the circumstances of its creation?
very true, and obviously does not need oxygen. So there's Morty's second child. Uh, if you remember, his first one was the Gazorptazorp, Morty Jr. So, well, dare I ask your
Mm-hmm.
rating on this episode? Would you like to go first? What would you give
Oh
this?
gosh, yeah. I've got to admit I've watched this episode probably 3 times to see if it would grow on me, and it didn't each time. So I would give it a 3. Um, I think this is the lowest episode that we've had so far, but fingers crossed they will pick back up. Every season deserves at least one low point.
Wow. I wonder if we would have stopped you at one viewing of the episode if you maybe wouldn't have given it a higher. I wondered if 3 didn't wear you down and make you feel like you were beat up. I'm going to go a little bit higher than that because I'm going to give some credit for the jokes. I'll certainly say this. It was bold. It has never been done before. I highly recommend it is never done again. But it's not a great episode for me. If you notice, I've given some high 9s and 10, close
Yep.
to 10 and an 8. But this is definitely a solid 5 from me.
Okay.
Maybe 6, 5.5. Not quite 6, but a little bit better than you, but still not great. It's not the episode I would show a person who wants to get into the episode. But I do agree with you with this. The next episode coming up and the episodes that we know are coming up look phenomenal.
They do, absolutely. So definitely looking forward to those. Paris, thank you so much again for joining me today. We've got another one due to release tonight, so we can do another review in the next day or 2. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. The midway point, we're here. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining me, guys. We will be back soon with another review. So a big thank you to everyone watching, and take care.